In today's video, we're going to talk about things that we wish we knew before building our lake house, but we're also going to cover things that we've learned along the way, as well as things that we love.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Tracy, and this is our channel, Retirement in Color.
Things we learned. Okay, let me preface this by saying we love our house and we're happy with the outcome. But these are some things we learned. Know your desired outcome before you start the project. Look at your land and to know what's buildable on your lot, what's not, how much land you need for the house and the septic system. We found a plot of land that we really liked the look of, and we purchased it. Had we have done a little more due diligence, we would have ended up with a totally different product. We picked floor plans that would fit on our land with our septic system, and we really couldn't fit more than a foot more.
It was tight
on this property. So that was a big thing. Know what you want before you buy your land.
And I have to say, we did do a lot of due diligence before we purchased this land. We were able to get the survey for the lot, and the survey showed where all the easements are. We have quite a bit of our lot is a 100-year floodplain, and there's also an Alabama power easement. So I was lucky with my job. I had access to our town engineer, and so I had him look at the survey before we bought the lot, just to make sure that building a house was doable. So I don't know if you have access to somebody like that, but somebody who's knowledgeable, have them look at the survey.
But we also didn't realize how much land the septic system would require. Yeah. And that took up a lot of our buildable lot.
Right. And those are things you want to do ahead of time, like get with the, septic people, and if you need septic, and have them just make sure that the whole thing is doable.
Another thing that is important to a project build is to understand the whole scope of the project before you start. And after you pick a builder, make sure that you understand whose responsibility. For example, little things like the paper towel holders or the toilet paper holders and the accessories in the bathroom.
Bathroom mirrors.
Bathroom mirrors. Is that a him thing? Is that a you thing? The biggest one for us was the propane tank. We didn't know that was our responsibility, so we pushed back in our move-in date by a couple weeks because we needed to get the propane tank set. We were here, we could have had that done, but it was just communicate well with your builder and understand what's whose responsibilities and timetables. Some builders do a good job of having regularly scheduled meetings to make sure that you're on time, on budget, etc. We picked a builder who had a very good reputation for putting out a great product, but he's a man of very few words. So we didn't have a lot of communication with him. And that was a little bit frustrating, but in a way it was a relief too, because he took care of most everything.
Yeah. And he did really put out a great product. So there's no complaints whatsoever about the person that we chose to build our home. One of the great things about working with our builder is we actually had access to work with a designer, which if you don't have that access, I highly, highly recommend it. Because picking your floors, the tiles, the countertops, that can be very, very intimidating. And one choice could affect another choice down the line. So we luckily had that option to work with a designer, and she was just so helpful. And she kind of steered us in a way. If she saw us kind of going down a wrong path, she'd rein us in a little bit and help us with those design choices to make sure everything looked nice. And another thing is, with our builder, we had certain allowances for like how much per square foot for the tile, how much square foot for the flooring, etc. And I know that one of the tile that I wanted in the kitchen wasn't included as an option in what our builder was allowing. So I asked, well, what was the price difference for the tile that I wanted? And it was only like $30 difference. So don't be afraid to ask if there's something that you really, really want. And of course, it blends in with the design that's going to come out great. see what the price difference is, because it might not be that much. And we also did the same thing for our closets, because we knew that we didn't want to have the wire closets. What do you call it? Like the rods and so forth. We wanted wood build outs in our closet. So we went ahead and upgraded that also. And it really wasn't too much overall in the grand scheme of things.
And while we're talking about budgets and allowances, almost every builder will, give you an allowance for appliances and things like that. Understand that that's the amount that they've put into the project, and you could get builder grade. But if you're building a custom home, you probably don't want builder grade. So just know that you're going to spend more money than that original total, because you don't want builder grade appliances or toilets or anything that you touch with your hands, even the doorknobs. So you're going to look at that stuff and you're going to say, okay, this is what my house is supposed to cost, but we know it's going to cost more. And, leave yourself 10% for going above and making your house what you really want.
Right. And while you're at the designer, this is one thing I didn't do, so we had to follow up later. But make sure you write down or take note of the materials, such as the countertops. They were quartz, but I didn't know that. I mean, she told us that, but I didn't remember that. I didn't make a note of that. So I wasn't sure like how to maintain them, or if they needed to be maintained, could I put hot pans on top of that? So make sure you take note of what the materials are, and also take note of the paint colors that they're using, because we put some dings in our walls already.
And also you want to note and specify places where you want specific finishes of that paint color, because you may choose one paint color for everything, but you might want a different finish in different rooms because ease of cleaning or that sort of thing. So just make note of that and make sure you communicate that, because if you don't specify, they're going to do what they think is best, which may be not exactly what you have in mind.
Right. And for example, our house, the paint finish, it's all flat. And I think if I would have preferred maybe a glossier finish in the bathrooms or the kitchen or so forth. So
for us, we moved from Arizona in a big city out to the country, and we looked at this lot and it was beautiful. But what we didn't note was how much it would take to maintain and keep this lot beautiful. It's just all over an acre of land, a couple hundred trees on that acre of land, lots of different surfaces to mow, and when the water's up and down, some of that's flooded. Trees fall down all the time. Have to remove those. Just understand the scope of the project as far as maintaining that land, or like that septic system and different things that come along with your project, your boathouse, because they're going to affect your life.
Pests, we're constantly cleaning spider webs and carpenter bees, because we have a lot of wood here. We've never heard of carpenter bees before.
We even get bugs in our car, and I don't know how that happens, but it's just lots to maintain.
So another thing that we didn't know is not everything is going to work perfect right off the bat. For instance, our hot water heater, we couldn't get it to work. And we have the hot water heater on demand. So we had to have our builder call the plumber, because that's a plumber job. And luckily he came out in good time to fix whatever it was. But there were some other things that needed to be fixed, as far as the gutters and some water, the temperature of the water. So just because you've built a brand new house and you think everything should work perfect right off the bat, not everything is going to work perfect right off the bat.
Then there's things you're going to find when you move into the house that you wouldn't have expected. Like just walking down to our boathouse, it felt really bumpy to me the first time I mowed it with the rider mower. And so there's going to be little projects where you're going to want to smooth out that ground or put in water sprinklers or whatever that project is. Oh, another thing, we were talking about budgets. So you may end up doing some trade-offs in your budgets. We didn't get as much money for the house we sold to fund this house as we planned on. So rather than sacrificing the quality of the build of the home, we chose not to build out the upstairs room. And that saved us enough money so that we could get the whole house, the rest of the house, done in budget and to our standards. And we could still build and have the house we wanted to have without having a mortgage.
Right. And the upstairs room he's referring to is we have an unfinished room over our garage that eventually we're going to have as a game room, but that'll come in time. But that also leads me to, and he was talking about the lot being bumpy and things that we're trying to fix. For me, hearing things like that is very overwhelming. So just realize that these projects that you might have for the future, even though you have time because we're retired, we have the time to do it. These are things that we've never had to deal with before. And hearing him conceptualize these projects, like bringing in truckloads of dirt to level out the land, it really intimidates me. Like, how are we going to do that? We don't know how to do that.
It's just labor and it takes time, but it's not a project that you can, that if I pay somebody to do, I could get it done quickly. But if I do it myself, it's not going to happen in a day, a week, or a month. And it's probably going to wait until it's not summer and
Yeah,
it's not this hot.
right.
But, we're going to be here for a long time, we hope. And so these are things that we can do over time.
Right. And there's going to be a lot of them. Like, for instance, we did add some landscaping to our front, some foundation landscaping. So things like that aren't usually included in your build.
Eventually, we're going to put a hot tub in the back. We haven't decided where, but that's going to mean we're adding another porch and the support for that. We did do the electrical already to the back, so just extending that to the place we finally decide it's going to land. But
Just another project.
yep, it's just another day in the life.
So let's now talk about things that we wish we would have done differently. But keep in mind that these are things that are basically a wish list, because with any home, anywhere, whether it be a move-in ready home, a brand new build, you're not going to get 100% of everything that you want. So if we had our perfect house, these are things I think that we would have done different.
I guess if it was our wish list, we probably would have looked for a lot that had more buildable area, because then we could have had a bigger house with other things that we'll talk about here. But that's probably my biggest, if I would have known then what I know now, I probably would have looked a little longer. Although it's hard to find lakefront lots that have good sunset views, because they're very desirable and they're just not making more of them.
And not only a bigger house, but we could have had some outbuildings, perhaps a shed or a workshop or something, but we just can't because the rest of our lot is in a floodplain. So you really can't put permanent structures anywhere else on the lot.
I got some ideas. We might get there eventually, but let's finish the projects that are on our short term first.
All of those projects. And then the next one is, I would have picked a lot that is closer to town, because our closest main or big town is about 18 minutes away. So really, anytime we want to go somewhere, you just have to add 40 minutes, 20 minutes for the drive there and 20 minutes for the drive back. Now, it's a beautiful, gorgeous drive, and we do benefit from being away from the main town, but I think it would have been nice to be a little bit closer to town. Some things that I think I would have changed about the house, if we could have, is perhaps maybe a bigger living room. And not that our living room is small. I think I'm just really used to how huge our living room was in our home in Arizona. But I believe also I would like to have a bigger back patio that's screened in, because the patio that is on this floor plan, it's kind of small, but I also feel like it's spider central out there. So I would think I just want it screened in a little bit for the bugs. And then one other thing, and this is totally my fault. I don't know, I just wasn't thinking, but I think in our shower, we were able to choose what kind of nooks we wanted in the shower. So I opted to have one for shampoo and then one for shaving my legs, which I totally love that one. I highly suggest a nook for shaving your legs, but get the biggest nook for your shampoos, your conditioners, your razors as possible. That's one thing that we didn't do.
I mentioned it in the meeting with the designer about adding a second one, and I got shut down in a hurry. So we moved on.
Yeah.
But another thing I would have done different is, if we were building our perfect house, I would have built 2 guest rooms instead of 1. Never having had a boat or a boathouse, I conceptualized based on the few that I'd seen and provided drawings. But the boathouse, the design we ended up with is much deeper for the boat. I didn't know how long of a boat we would get. So we've got a lot of dead space in the front that probably could fill that in and make a shaded patio, or even more shade over the other part of the boathouse that's out there would be a huge improvement. But yeah, that's probably more. I've never had a boat, never built a boathouse, so I just went
Didn't know
based
how
on
big the boat
somebody
was
else.
gonna
Yeah,
be.
I went on somebody else's design, and with little experience, just got what I got. I like my boathouse; it's
Yeah.
okay.
It's our
But
happy place.
It's just, it could have been better with a little more knowledge.
Okay, so to close out the video, I know we've talked about shoulda, woulda, couldas. Let's talk about things that we love, because there's a lot of things that we love about this house.
I love the beautiful views of nature. We're sitting in our front yard now, and we probably never really showed what we see here, but we've got a beautiful forested area in front of the house. And then behind the house, we've got those beautiful views of the lake. Almost nightly, I go out and sit on the boathouse and watch the sunset. Now, as it gets to be later in the summer, we're starting to see that sunset move further and further out over the water, so they're becoming even more and more spectacular and better aligned to or almost to our sweet spot. Actually, we're still about 3 months from our sweet spot, but most of the year we've got good sunsets over the water, which is something amazing. I love the sound of nature, and most every night I may post a TikTok video or something of just the sounds of the frogs and the insects. And the animal sounds from out by the lake, and that's just so peaceful and serene, and to go to sleep to that every night is amazing. The lack of traffic, I mean, everywhere we've lived in the past, cars up and down your road every day. Here we get a few cars here and there, but it's just peaceful and serene. We've got that nice country lifestyle. You don't have door-to-door salesmen ever approach your door. No religious zealots trying to convert you to their ways. It's just very peaceful out here in the country.
Mm-hmm. And when people drive by, you wave. Like, we might not know them yet, but if you're on this road, you're meant to be on this road. So everybody just kind of waves, which is nice. And that
small town atmosphere, we really enjoy that. We just signed up for something called Boo Bash here on Logan Martin Lake, which is trick-or-treating for adults. Basically October 5th, which is a little bit long before Halloween. But the water's still up high, so you get on your boats and you trick-or-treat by boat to people's houses, and it's maybe a spirited beverage for the adults and candy for the kids, and we're going to decorate our dock in a superhero theme, so it'll be fun for children to come and take some photo ops with Spider-Man and Superman. And so, but those community events is part of the reason we chose this lake. And another thing I love about this house, and we did a good job of picking our floor plans from houseplans.com, is we picked something where for most every room in the house, we have good views of the lake or of nature. Where there's a window, there's a view.
And of course, one of the things I really, really love is it's a brand new house. I've never lived in a brand new house before. So nobody's lived here before. I don't have somebody else's dirt. There's no dings or marks on the walls, well, except for the ones that we've put on there. So it's just a great feeling to be the first person in a house. So, which I really love that part also. Those are the things that we wish we knew before we started building our lake home. And of course, the things that we've learned along the way and the things that we love. So thank you so much for being here with us today. And if you want to see our journey from when we even first started this whole process, make sure you watch this playlist right here. And in the meantime, we will see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.